So top five, I'm going to go through it. My top five films of 2023. And I'll give a little tidbit for each one. Nothing. I'm not going to get into the plot and stuff because, again, we'll be here fucking forever.
Yeah.
So, number five, I just watched this a couple days ago, like a week ago or something like that, or a couple days ago. I don't even think it was a week ago. It was one I wanted to watch, but just didn't have time to squeeze it in with everything else going on. And that is No One Will Save You. And in a nutshell, there's this girl. She's got some post-traumatic situation that happened that's unraveled throughout the film. Aliens show up again. There's a little theme. There's a better alien movie. See, a better movie that did the same thing. Greys, alien ships show up, and this girl has to basically defend herself in this town, in her own home, from these aliens, while also dealing with some issues she had as a kid and some stuff
and
some traumatic
that she
stuff.
doesn't say a word.
Yes, I was about to get to that point. She does not speak. There's not a she's got like one line in the whole movie. It's not even a line. It's her saying someone's name. I don't want to say why that happens, but it's quiet. There's no dialogue. Basically, it's like kind of like people talking to themselves, like not really conversations happening in the movie. I thought they did a great job just kind of with the script and telling this type of story. The film is an allegory for, I've read a couple of different things of the meaning. I don't want to, again, because it kind of spoils the ending. I've heard some stuff about millennials being what the film represents, kind of what millennials have dealt with, post-traumatic stress and trauma from the past and things, how it affects you later in life, and kind of mixing that all in with aliens. There's different interpretations of the ending, which I liked. It was one of those movies that I watched, and when I really sat and thought about it, I was like, that was a fucking good movie. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, number five, No One Will Save You. I highly recommend. Yeah. Did you like it?
I saw it. I hated the ending.
Okay.
Absolutely hated the ending to the point where it ruined the rest of the movie for me.
And I could see why people didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I think if you read about the movie a little more, you might appreciate it some more.
Yeah.
So it's one of those movies.
I will. But up until that point, the movie was incredible. Like this was like Quiet Place excellent.
Yes, I really, and she's great in it.
She's amazing.
It's the actress she's from Booksmart. She's not, what's his name's sister, not Beanie, not what's his name? Olivia Wilde directed it. She's the other female lead in that. But yeah, nonetheless, great movie. Really enjoyed it. Number five. Number four, which is a movie I think everyone loved, and it's probably in most people's top five, Evil Dead Rise. There's not really much to get into with this one. It was a lot of fun. I think it fits in perfectly with the Evil Dead franchise, with the TV show. There's some comedy in it. It's a little darker, kind of more in line with the first remake. It almost feels like it could be a sequel in a way. We also reviewed that. Chris and I put up a review when it came out. I thought it was great. I revisited it. I think I watched it 2 more times. I put it on in the background. I thought the 2 female leads, the mother and the sister, she was great as like the big bad of the movie, as the possessed mom. And just it's gory, it's violent. I love some of the, again, with the children, they went a little edgier with some of the scenes, with them being kids. The female lead, she was great. Like, I just loved it. It was a great companion piece to the rest of the franchise. It works with the films with Ash. It works with the remake with is it Mia's the name of the lead in that movie? Works well with her. And I love the was it 2013? I love the Evil Dead remake. I think it's great too. I just think fun movie. Not much to say about Evil Dead Rise. It's just and it's an original really cool to trap people in an apartment building and have deadites just start like the book possess people, and you have to survive the night. I love that. The elevator scene with all the blood, fucking great. It's so good. A lot of fun. All right, number 3, I've seen a lot of people put this on their list. Another one I saw late in the year. I watched it twice. I actually watched it for the second time the other day. And I think this is one of the movies you have to go in, and I went into it not knowing too much. I did not see this in theaters. I wanted to. It's directed by David Cronenberg's son. I don't know his first name.
Brandon Cronenberg.
There you go. Infinity Pool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of what's his name, Alexander Skarsgård. I think he's great, underrated dude. He was great in 2022's The Northman. I love that was one of my favorite films in 2022. Love that movie. He's great in this. Mia Goth is great in everything she's in. I thought she was fantastic in this movie. I'm a big fan of two movies, and that's what this reminded me of, a messed up version of these two movies combined. I'm a huge fan of Eyes Wide Shut and a big fan of Multiplicity with not Kevin Bacon, with Michael Keaton. With Michael Keaton. So if you combined a body horror Cronenberg film.
Never would have made that connection.
Yes. If you take like Eyes Wide Shut and like Tom Cruise as a man and what he's going through that night, thinking his wife had an affair on him and he's going to go out, have a wild night and do all this nonsense, and then gets caught up in some shit that he's not supposed to, like an Eyes Wide Shut, and you mix that with some clones and just all this weird, like I said, body horror, Cronenberg-esque stuff. That's what Infinity Pool is. And I thought it was great, and it's a bleak movie. The ending is pretty bleak. Some of the stuff, there's that scene where, and I'm not going to spoil it too much. I don't think this spoils too much, but you got Mia Goth on the hood of a car. You've got Skarsgård in front of them. She's insulting him, saying that she never read his book, because that's kind of how she reels him in. His book, the reviews were terrible. It was a piece of crap. She is so horrid in that scene and terrible.
She is.
And you feel so bad for him because this guy just wants to write his novels and get inspired. And his own kind of arrogance, kind of like Tom Cruise in Eyes Wide Shut, gets the better of him. You've got this, attractive woman who is kind of using that against him to once again, reel him in. And I just think it's kind of like a good allegory for kind of being an artist and also putting that ahead of your personal life, because he's got this great wife who's supportive and wealthy and he doesn't even work. And he's kind of taking advantage of that. So I love that.
Is.
I just loved what the movie represented. And I think the way they put it all together, this was honestly almost number 2 on my list.
Wow.
I was fighting with my number 2 film, which I'll get into now. I was fighting with it because I loved Infinity Pool. I've watched it 2 times.
I thought Possessor was way better, like way better. In my list, again, I think I watched maybe 50 or so horror films that came out this year. I watched a lot. Like I really tried to get through as many as possible. On my list, where is it? Infinity Pool is number 27.
Oh, so you've got it low.
but that is because I watched a lot that I really liked.
Yeah.
I watched a ton of movies.
I watched a lot of movies this year too, but I really enjoyed it. Again, I put it on the first time and I was like, wow, I want to watch that again. That was kind of twisted.
Yeah. Well, you know me too. I look for the lesser known movies. I look for those. I really seek them out. Like you said, Devil Comes at Night. Like you didn't even.
I gotta watch it. I've heard of it. I've heard of a lot of these movies. I haven't had a chance to watch them yet because I just I'm busy too. I gotta do this. I gotta do other stuff. So it's like not enough time in the day.
I've come to watching movies at work at night. When I go, I just leave my phone on and I just I go through movies at night a lot of the time. So
you can do that.
If I can do it, I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but Infinity Pool, number 3 on my list. I loved it. I actually want to watch it again soon because I really like.
I do want to give it a second watch.
I liked her. Like Mia Goth was great I thought she was great in the Suspiria remake. However you feel about that movie, I know a lot of people don't like it, but I enjoyed it.
Too long, but really good.
It's different from. You got to separate it from the original Suspiria. It's quite different.
Yes.
I thought she was great in that. She's good in a lot of stuff I've seen her. She's great in X. She's amazing in Pearl, and I thought she was amazing in this. I think just as the
she was really good
as the antagonist of the movie, like the heel. She is the bad guy of this movie.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. I thought she was great, and he was great. You just felt so much sympathy for this guy, even though he brought it upon himself.
He did.
Okay, moving on to what I thought was the far superior Halloween themed film of 2023, and that's Cobweb. I thought, I mentioned Kids versus Aliens.
That is number 10. That is my number 10.
So that's on the top 10
top
for
10.
You.
Yes, it is in my top 10. 100%.
I thought when it came to a Halloween story with the holiday as the backdrop, it did it better than Dark Harvest, and it did it better than Kids versus Aliens, in my opinion. And those are the Halloween themed films that come to mind for last year. Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of putting this one up against those. Lizzie Kaplan is awesome in everything she's in. I forget the guy's name. I always forget his name. He plays Homelander in The Boys.
Oh man, Homelander.
Anthony Starr. Anthony Starr.
Yeah.
He's great as Tony. There you go. He's great as Homelander. He's great as a crappy father in Cobweb. He's like a strict, and she's great.
I'm starting to wonder if he's acting or not.
I don't know.
He's so dude's bad awesome. At being a scumbag.
He is great at being a piece of crap. Dude, the Halloween atmosphere, the story that they're telling about this little boy hearing something in the wall and his parents, have this secret. I'm not going to say the ending because I think the last act, fantastic.
Yeah, it's the same little boy from Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yes, which
he's in that as well.
I've been wanting to watch, and I think I'm going to like it, and I have not watched it yet.
I think you will too.
I can't wait to see that. I
saw that in theaters.
I slacked and did not watch that, and you know what? I'm going to watch it this week, and that, might have to come back and redo this whole thing. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. Start over. I'm changing my top 5. But yeah, Cobweb, man, just the ending, the story, their backyards filled with pumpkins. I love the weird kind of universe this takes place in what world is this? It feels kind of set in another time period, but it's not.
It really does. I was wondering if it was a period piece from the very beginning. I'm like, what year is this?
Never outright do they say it is, but it's just it's just kind of crazy. The visual, I won't say what it comes from or what it is. The creature looks eerie looking and creepy and just
scary as shit. Yes, eerie.
It's just some of those shots like just
when you
creepy.
First see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's gross too.
Yeah.
So I loved it, and again, it did Halloween. Like Halloween was not the focus of the film. It just takes place in October. And
coincidentally, yes.
Yeah, and the last act, it's Halloween. It's Halloween night, and the bullies showing up with the mask to the house. Like
that's right. I forgot about that.
You always have to have the scumbag, shitty Halloween kids in every movie. That's right.
I forgot about that. The invasion portion of the movie. Yeah, and the home invasion part.
It's a home invasion. I'm sure they regretted.
Which that's it. Sells it for you.
So like, so good. Almost my number one. I honestly, it was kind of back and forth between my number one film and Cobweb, which I'll just say what my number one movie is. We're here. Godzilla -1. Now, technically, not a horror film, but it's a creature. It's Godzilla. He's a monster.
Yeah.
It's horror adjacent.
That was just below Wrath of Becky for me because it's really not technically it's a monster movie. It's a disaster movie more than anything else.
Exactly. He's a monster. It's Godzilla. I think, I love Godzilla. I grew up watching Godzilla movies. I even like the new Godzilla and Kong movies that are coming out. I think they're a lot of fun. They're dumb. They're silly. I rather watch those than the Avengers movies. In my opinion, I think they're more fun and they're dumb, and they're just as dumb. But I enjoy them.
I just saw Aquaman the other day. It was terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure. It sucked.
It was so
I'm
bad.
sure it was terrible.
Dude, another one. The second time in history I've ever gotten up in the middle of a movie to go to the bathroom or something because I just didn't.
It was stupid. I'm sure.
And the first one was Captain America.
I'm sure.
I did not care.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Didn't care what I.
But yeah,
Garbage.
dude, Godzilla -1, they made Godzilla scary again. They made you care about the human characters, which I feel the newer, MonsterVerse movies lack in.
I think the story is so solid. It's
you feel for them. You feel for the human family and a lot, and I feel like this is a movie a lot of people haven't seen yet. Because it's subtitled.
I don't know if you've ever heard the story that there was a guy. Which one was Nagasaki or Hiroshima? I don't remember which one was first.
Yeah, I think
there was a guy who was in Hiroshima and he survived the bomb and he was evacuated to Nagasaki
Mm.
And then he survived that bomb.
Wow.
And then when he came to on that plane that he was on coming to America was struck by lightning and he survived the plane crash.
Wow, really?
I feel like, then this is a totally true story. I feel like this movie is based kind of
that was the inspiration.
Cues. Yeah. Yes, I think that was the inspiration. And like I could tell it at first when it first happened. I'm like, oh, they're totally doing this guy's story, you know.
Wow.
And that's the human element of it.
I didn't even
like this is really
I didn't even know about that story. I have to look into it. Yeah, man. I again, Godzilla -1. You know, you see the influence of Jaws in it. You see, obviously, you know, the original Godzilla, you know, associating him with Hiroshima, the atomic bomb, and all that stuff. You know, the family dynamic, how they're kind of forced into being a family, and this guy doesn't want a family. He doesn't want this to be his life, but he falls in love with these people. I love that, you know, and you know,
great story.
There's those scenes when they're they're having those meetings of how we're going to destroy Godzilla. And, you know, most Godzilla movies, you're rooting for Godzilla. And don't get me wrong, a little part of me, I was still rooting for Godzilla because it's Godzilla. And you know what?
Clearly the bad guy this time.
Yes. And for people like me who love the character, the little ending stinger, oh, yeah. Like, you know, I don't want to say what it is, but, you know, it's still, it curbs your appetite in, you know, no, he's not gone. You know, Godzilla will always...
Of course.
Live on.
Yeah, because this is a prequel to everything.
Yes,
it's a prequel to the first Godzilla movie,
dude,
so you know he's not gone.
And when I went into this movie and I went to go see it in the theater, I didn't know anything about the plot. I just knew it was a Godzilla movie and it took place during World War II. That's all I knew. It was right around that time. It was a period piece set, which I don't think has been done ever since the original Godzilla. So for me, I was like, I can't wait to see this. I didn't know anything about it. And when I went in, I was like, wow. When I left, I was like, this is probably one of the best Godzilla movies ever. I think it's fair to say.
I've never been a Godzilla fan.
Yeah.
And it's always been because it's just so cheesy. It's so silly. You know, I don't like the guys in a rubber suit thing.
No.
Never been a fan of.
And they made this Godzilla feel like the rubber suit Godzilla, but he looked cooler, obviously. Yeah. He was CGI.
Even in the 70s when they started doing the Godzilla dance, they did a lot of really silly things with Godzilla. And I'm like, this is just dumb.
They are dumb, but they're great.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
People love it for what it is. And that's, you know my buddy Horror Show.
Yeah.
Godzilla is his thing, and he is constantly trying to get me to watch Godzilla movies. But it's just not my thing. The Legendary films kind of changed that. And I was like, okay, this, it's more of, like I said, it's more of a disaster film. And I love disaster movies.
Yeah.
This kind of went in that same direction. I know that the last one, I think Final Wars, was it?
No, I think it was Shin Godzilla was the last one. And they made him, this was better than that one.
I want to see that.
Shin Godzilla, he is the ugliest Godzilla probably. This Godzilla and the Godzilla and Godzilla -1 didn't look as sinister. The Shin Godzilla was gross looking.
I've never seen that, but I've heard it's amazing. Like,
it's good too.
If you like the Legendary Godzilla, then you'd like Shin. I feel like they're trying to catch up. They're like,
maybe
Legendary took it to another level with the budget and the CG and everything. It's like, well, if you're gonna make a new Godzilla movie, it has to be at least that good.
Godzilla -1, in my opinion, was better than Shin Godzilla.
It was better than all the Legendaries.
Yeah, it was. It was better than, and I like King of the Monster. I like the 2014 Godzilla.
Yes.
So
I loved those. Those
in my opinion,
wiped the floor with them.
Yes, this was probably the best Godzilla. I think most people are saying that's the best Godzilla movie. Just kind of the overall story they were telling, where you care about, you know, these characters, and you're getting your Godzilla fix as well. The destruction. Dude, though, he becomes a bomb when he shoots out his fire breath. It's not just the fire. It's like he becomes an atomic bomb. Yeah. And I'll leave it at that because I think a lot of people haven't seen this yet. And, you know, people are probably waiting for it to stream. But #1 film of 2023. It was a toss-up between this and Cobweb because it's technically not horror, but it's pretty fucking horrific. Yeah. So I'm leaving it as my #1. I don't care, you know.
Fine.
Godzilla -1.
It was a great movie.
Louis' favorite movie of 2023. Godzilla -1. With Cobweb being a close second right there. So, all right, Manny. Go get into your top 5.
As I said, I like to find a lot of those lesser known films. I like to watch those things, but my top 5 ended up being a bunch of films, mostly films that people know. Number 5, Thanksgiving. I thought it was one of the most perfect slashers done in a long time. I've been waiting for it. We went to see Grindhouse together. So we saw the original Thanksgiving together. That's how long we've known each other.
Yeah.
We saw that together, and that Thanksgiving trailer became infamous. It was one of the greatest things that we'd ever seen. It caused us to make our first feature together.
Still one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
And so when Eli Roth finally said he was making Thanksgiving, this was like, oh, please don't fuck this up. Because in all honesty, Eli Roth has some really shitty movies.
Yeah.
He's made some real shitty movies. He made some really good movies, but he's made some really shitty ones. And unfortunately, as a horror fan, you tend to look at the shitty ones and say, please don't do that.
Chris and I covered it on Patreon. Mm-hmm. And that was like the first thing we talked about, how polarizing his like filmography is, because most people don't like his stuff, or like Cabin Fever is great. And what's it called? Hostel's
Knock
all right.
Is my favorite of his.
I have to rewatch that one.
Knock I love, but it's a remake of Death Game.
Yeah.
And I think they did it better. Like Death Game is good, is really good, but I think Knock was better. Cabin Fever 2. Cabin Fever. Hostel 2 is better than Hostel 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving, I feel like it nailed it. It absolutely nailed it. It was exactly what I wanted the film to be. It was a little funny. It was very gory. It wasn't too long. It was it was everything that the trailer promised, that like Thanksgiving in Boston,
Yeah.
Patrick Dempsey too, giving Patrick Dempsey a career resurgence.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
No, he was great in it. Yeah, he's great in it.
And what I didn't know is that's his real voice.
He's
He's from Boston, and he had to shed the Boston accent to do Can't Buy Me Love. So he actually took like classes to learn how to get rid of his accent in order to do that film, or he wasn't going to be able to do it. They wanted the accent gone. They would have cut him. So him being able to use his natural Boston accent in this film is crazy. And they cast, I actually know a couple people who tried out for the film and were close to it. My friend Diana was almost the waitress in the restaurant.
Oh, cool.
The one that they kill in the freezer. She's actually related to the real John Carver, that actress. The one in the movie.
Oh, yes, wow.
The one in the movie is related to the real John Carver. She's like his great-great-great-granddaughter or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. I know, like randomly, like they didn't even mean to do that. It just happened. But I thought the movie was really good. They changed the most iconic death, but I feel like, okay, I wanted to see the knife in the cooter, but like I wanted to see it, but like I have seen it.
Yeah.
And even that, it's probably as much fun as it is, it's probably the low point of the movie, because it's clearly shoved in there, because Eli Roth knew if he didn't do it, people were going to be upset that it wasn't there. But it comes totally out of left field. It's two characters we have not seen up until this point. They're just suddenly there, and they walk through a curtain and there's a trampoline. It's like he shoved it in because he knew he couldn't get away with not.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, fine. So he tamed it down a little bit. He made it a little bit more realistic, where she's just falling on the knife, like on her back, and they did so okay. But otherwise the film was so much fun. A really ton of fun.
No, I agree. It's in my top 10. It'd probably be like number 7 or like around there, maybe 7 or 8. Again, head over to Patreon to listen to my thoughts about Thanksgiving. Yep. Try to push more people over there. I'll say this. I enjoyed it. There's certain things about it I wasn't crazy about, mostly character-wise, but it's also a slasher movie, and I realized that going in.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the two characters in the trampoline scene. Yeah. It's funny. I put up a clip from the Patreon episode about the trampoline scene. I did listen to that clip. I'm
not on the Patreon, unfortunately.
Manny, you have to join. What was I going to say? So We talked about that scene.
Patreon members understand that other hosts of the show don't even have access to it. Yes. You are exclusive.
So in that scene, we thought the girl was the one that's in the fridge later, and someone corrected us in the comments.
Yeah, she's not.
It's someone else, because to me the characters were so kind of vanilla.
They were just
I didn't even.
Yeah.
I thought it. We thought Chris thought it was the same girl. I thought it was the same girl. I thought she survived the stabbing trampoline incident because they were sort of just like, oh, it's people have survived way worse in horror movies.
They have.
So for
Scream
me, it's
6,
like,
everybody's stabbed 1,000 times
and survived.
They all survived.
So for me, I was just like, I didn't even notice, and that was I'll say again, that was my one issue, was like the characters. Patrick Dempsey's Patrick Dempsey, so of course I'm going to know him and like him and enjoy him.
Of course.
But a good chunk of the other people, I was just like, who, what? Okay, all right. As a slasher film, though, it was a blast.
It was. What really sells it, what really sold it and put it in the top is that I genuinely did not see who the killer was.
I guessed it.
They genuinely, like, I really thought it was who they kept pushing it to. Yeah. I was even when I really trying not to spoil it, because
don't spoil it.
No, it's only like 3 months old. But there's the one scene where you see the guy going in.
Yeah.
And I even said it. I'm like, see, I said it in the movie. I told you it was him, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, you know what? You fooled me.
Yeah.
So, job
at one
done.
point, I leaned over and I said, it's that person, and I was right.
I didn't think it was him.
40 minutes in, I was like, oh, it's that person.
I thought it in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they genuinely turned me against it. Yeah. I thought in the beginning, I'm like, cause that conversation, there's one conversation, and they even call back to it. When that conversation happened, I said,
we're walking around spoilers. Let's be careful.
Yeah, I'm really trying not to. But
Thanksgiving was awesome.
It then.
It was a lot of fun.
They did a good job of steering me away, and that's what puts it in my top 5.
Yeah.
Number 4 is going to be quick, because we already covered it. I have the same number 4 as you, Evil Dead Rise.
That's funny. We both have it as number 4.
Same number 4. It was excellent. It was so cool. My favorite part, the reason why I like this so much is because I like Demons 2 better than Demons 1. I like Night of the Demons 2 better than Night of the Demons 1, because I like the high rise location of them. I like that, and putting Evil Dead into the apartment. Yeah. It speaks to the Queens kid in me. It speaks to the New York City kid. I feel,
yeah. That's how I feel.
I just find that to be creepier. I've always seen movies that they're in farmhouses or they're in the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, why are you people in the middle of fucking nowhere?
Hey man, listen. One of the things I was always and Jason Takes Manhattan is one of my favorite in the entry. It's dumb, but I love it.
But I love it.
And I will always say
it's a location I can relate to.
The biggest issue I always had, and I remember as a little kid, and I know we're going off on a tangent here. We're going to be moving quickly through after this tangent. But
we already talked Evil Dead Rise. So
I said there was the scene that was missing in that movie is Jason chasing someone through an apartment building in New York. Does not happen.
That would be
there's not a lot of slasher movies in an urban setting in a 5 or 6 story apartment building like we grew up around and in and stuff. So the fact that Evil Dead
3 is my favorite of them. I love it.
Not too many. And I think that's because of budget. A lot of these movies can't afford to shoot in a giant building. But Evil Dead did it. And I think they should be more urban city set slasher possession type movies. There's not enough of them. Candyman it's why I love Candyman. All apartment buildings. I love that.
Candyman.
So, yes, one of my top 5 favorite films of all time. Yes, there it is. You've got it tattooed on you. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Candyman, and that's why it's all apartment buildings. So the projects, I love it. But yes, moving forward, what's your number 3?
It's a Wonderful Knife.
Which was very
another really fun slasher.
Yeah.
Justin Long is such an underrated guy.
He's had a resurgence, dude. He was on the Goosebumps TV show, and he was my favorite part.
He did like 2-3 horror. He was in 3 different horror movies in the last 2 years, at least 3 in the last.
Barbarian,
And what's the other one?
I
Oh
forget.
man,
I forget.
House of Darkness.
Yeah, and the Goosebumps TV show that just came out last year, which was great. I
Yes.
had a good time. He's one of the main characters.
Do you know the character in It's a Wonderful Knife? This character, the teeth, that was all him.
Really?
He just showed up dressed that way.
That's great. That's great.
He just showed up. The fake teeth, he had the fake teeth made.
Yeah.
The costume, he just showed up on set with it, and that is what he was going to do.
Great.
And they were like,
that makes it better.
Yes.
Oh man, he almost looked like a Righteous Gemstones character.
Yes,
that's basically what minus he looked like he was plucked right out of that TV show and just put in a
probably what he was
movie.
going for.
Probably, he was great.
And Weirdo Bernie, I have the biggest crush on that character. Oh my God. When I walked out I wanted to date her at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I think that their little love story was perfectly put together. I thought that by the end, I was so happy that they were together, that Bernie remembered what happened. I think that the elements that they used from It's a Wonderful Life into this were integrated very, very well.
Yeah.
The comedy was done well. The kills were done well. The only thing that drove me a little nuts was how the fuck do you keep that white suit white? It's gotta
that's a nitpick.
He's gotta be changing. He's gotta change because he gets splattered.
Yeah, covered in blood. Yeah.
It is a nitpick, but otherwise I think from beginning to end the movie it really felt like Happy Death Day, which I absolutely love.
I love those movies too. Yeah. It felt like it would be it would fit right in that universe.
Yeah,
like
that
the same
Christopher
universe.
I think Christopher Landon has perfected the tone of the horror comedy.
Yeah.
And this proves it because it's not a Christopher Landon. I think he wrote this.
Oh, I don't know if he was involved at all.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double check it. Writer.
It feels like something
Kennedy?
that would be.
No, he's not. What did he did something else then. But the director of this did Tragedy Girls.
Yeah, which was good too.
Which was also really good, and did Good Boy.
That was good too. Yeah.
Yes. So I think Christopher Landon nailed that, and people are starting to they're using his blueprint of what a horror comedy should be. Because I think years ago horror comedies were done really well with Saturday the 14th and Transylvania 6-5000.
Yeah.
And then there was a time where just horror comedies just became stupid. It became Scary Movie. Yeah. And it's this is just dumb.
I get it. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think he's finally found the new formula that works.
It's probably in my top 10, honestly, as well. It's somewhere in the below 5, but it's in there. Yeah. I think I'd put I liked It's a Wonderful Knife more than Thanksgiving. So I'd be maybe It's a Wonderful Knife and then Thanksgiving as number 6 would be It's a Wonderful Knife, 7 would be Thanksgiving.
I think I've watched Wonderful Knife 4 or 5 times already.
I've only seen it once. I watched it during the holidays when it came out, so it was a perfect watch. It was a lot. I can see myself revisiting that during Christmas.
Yeah. I'm glad I got to see it in the theater too. Oh,
yeah, I wanted to, dude. And it was not. By the time I looked it up and tried to go, it was not. It was screening at 12 noon on a Monday, and I just couldn't make it. So.
Me and Lynn got the AMC Plus pass in November to force us to go to the theater and see movies.
Yeah, man.
For $25, as long as you see 2 movies in a month, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's forcing us to get up and go out to the movies, which is the only reason I saw Aquaman this weekend. Because it's not costing me anything extra to go. So.
What you should see, and I haven't. I'll do it quick, and we'll continue with your thing. Mm-hmm. Poor Things, phenomenal. That almost was in my top 5, but that's Poor Things with Emma Stone. And
I haven't seen that yet.
So good.
Is it?
But teeters on the line of horror.
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
It's one of those. It just I don't know how to feel about it. I want to see it, but I feel like this is going to be weird for the sake of being weird. And
it was really good. I like that director's stuff, so I'd recommend. Yeah. It came out last year technically, but I just saw.
I liked Killing of a Sacred Deer
and
that
The
was
Lobster.
Good.
I like both of those movies.
I didn't bother with The Lobster. I didn't. Yeah.
Continue because we'll continue. We'll be here
Next
all night.
Yes. Number 2, I also saw in the theater. I'm proud. I got to see 4 of my 5 top 5 in the theater. When Evil Lurks.
Gotta watch that.
That's my number 2 of the year.
Haven't seen it. I've been hearing nothing. All I've heard is how great it is. So
it's a really good movie. Terrified was this director's previous film, which Evil Lurks is not as good as Terrified, but only marginally. So since you haven't seen it, and again a lot of people haven't, it's
definitely
on Shudder
don't
now.
spoil it because I'm probably gonna watch it this weekend.
No.
So
What makes this movie so unique and so interesting is his storytelling style.
Okay.
He doesn't spoon feed you. He just puts you in the world and you figure it out as you go along. Essentially what happens is there's this guy this guy on the he comes across somebody who's going to a priest who's coming to this house who's supposed to take care of this kid, and the priest dies. So he ends up going to the house to tell the people, I'm very sorry, but the priest died. He's dead in the road or whatever. Well, wait a minute. The grandmother's there, and you see now the boy that he was coming to. The guy is like this 600-pound man laying in bed, like one of those, bedridden, like 1,000-pound people.
Yeah.
But he's all ooey and gooey and full of pus and nasty and everything.
Nice.
Essentially, not a spoiler, but we essentially live in a world where demonic possession is real and everyone knows it's real. There's no question, and then it goes from there. Okay. But they don't spoon feed you the world. They don't explain what's happening. They talk about things the way people would talk about it because it's common knowledge to them. So nobody's going to sit and say, well, because of this is it. There's no point where somebody sits and explains the lore of the film to you. They just let you figure it out as the movie moves
cool.
on.
That's cool. Yes.
So that's the genius of it.
I'm gonna watch it this week.
Definitely watch it.
Yeah,
100%. If you've seen Terrified, if you like Terrified,
I did like Terrified.
This is very close, almost as good. You might like it more. I like Terrified more because I just like that demon better.
Okay.
I thought those demons and what the demon did, like that opening scene in the bathtub, literally made me jump the first time I saw it. I was like, holy shit, that.
Yeah. I have to I've only seen that once. I have to go back and watch that again too. So it's been a while. I think I watched it when it first came out.
Yeah, this one's more of a slow burn than that one.
I don't mind.
It's kind of things just kind of no, in a good way.
Okay.
Things creep up on you before you know it. It's too late and then you can't turn away. And the things that, like, as demon possession, it's going to cause people to do things. When the demon starts to take over people's minds and stuff like that. That's standard. But what it makes people do is so far out of left field. It's just going to be like, what did I just see?
I can't wait to watch it.
Yes.
Everybody I know that has seen it has told me, Louis, you have to watch this movie. It's fantastic. Yes. So yeah. I'm gonna do that. I tried to squeeze it in before the year ended, and I just didn't have time because there was other movies I wanted to watch before that. But I will watch it, and maybe we'll talk about it in the future. Who knows?
Yeah. Yep.
No, number one movie, Manny.
Number one. Back to the fact that I like to watch movies that nobody's seen before. My number one film is Candyland. I told you to watch it just so that you could at least see it because it's going to be my number one. So I'm curious what your opinion on this was. But
I enjoyed it.
This movie was everything I thought X was going to be.
Yeah, that was the first thing you told me when you were pushing it on me. You were telling me to
it's
check
like
it
just
out.
so you watch it. Like,
yeah,
this was. Do you agree with that? Because X was not very disappointing, but disappointing for Ty West.
I really liked X. I like Pearl. I like Pearl more. It's a very different movie. It feels like it was funny enough. One of the actors is an X. One of the guys. He's an X. And I didn't know that until I watched the movie. I was like, oh shit, this guy, he was also in Super Dark Times, that actor. And he was great in Super Dark Times, which I also like that movie. I don't know if I'd say I like it more than X. I think X is a better made movie, but Candyland was definitely a good movie. It was not, I enjoyed it. I think they do something different in Candyland. That's why it's like hard for me to, I can see aesthetic, like one takes place in the 70s, one's the 90s, one, is about, getting older and kind of, life catching up with you and you not achieving what you want in life, and then turning that into a slasher movie. Yeah. And then Candyland was more religion.
I meant more the porn film versus
the sleaziness was on par, I guess.
For the quick synopsis, Candyland is about a bunch of hookers in 1995, I think it is, at a truck stop in Texas.
Which was a great premise.
Right? Texas?
Yes, Texas.
Candyland is one of the girls named it Candyland. So the truckers come here and they are the hookers that work there. And the one guy, he's the male hooker of the, he's the one male that's there. Mm-hmm. William Baldwin is the,
he's like the sheriff.
He's the sheriff doing his best Daniel Baldwin impression.
And he's like in line with them. He's working with them.
Yeah. But he's so sleazy.
He's great in it. He's like honestly my favorite part.
He's great.
Yeah.
There's a girl. There's a local, a religious cult of sorts. I would call it cult just because to me most religious things are cults, but a religious group that lives near the area, and they come out there and they picket, and their leader is always talking to the girls, trying to get them to convert and blah blah blah, and one of their followers is kicked out of the congregation. So she comes to Candyland because it's the first place outside of it, and she befriends some of the hookers who were there, and they say, well, you can stay here with us. We don't want you, blah, 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 but you have to work. So they kind of bring her into the life. Yep. And I don't want to spoil at all because this movie is filled with surprises.
Yeah, the ending is it's a good ending.
Even before the
outside
ending,
of that,
half hour, 45 minutes in, there's a surprise.
Yeah, you think it's going one way and it pivots, which I did like. Yeah.
The movie's filled with surprises, but basically somebody starts killing people at Candyland. People start dying. I'm not even going to explain who dies. Because it's another very lesser known film. It's on Tubi.
I didn't know about it until you told me. I did not know this movie existed until you said something to me. So
I knew about it because I knew about it when they were making it because of Blood and Honey. I thought it was a Candyland the game movie.
Okay.
And that's why I was looking forward to it.
Far from that.
Totally far from it.
Yeah.
Completely far from it. But even when I went to go watch it, I still thought I was about to watch a Candyland horror movie. Mm-hmm. So I'm watching the first 10 minutes. I'm trying to connect what the game has to do.
That's amazing. Why is this movie called Candyland?
So she called it Candyland. They're hookers. Okay. Maybe they all have gumdrop nipples or something.
That would have been a twist.
So that's the reason why I knew about it, because I heard Candyland and I initially thought it was just going to be based on the game. I thought we're in for a rash of these, but it has absolutely nothing to do with it. It is really twisted, really dark. My opinion, I felt like it was a combination of X, Doom Generation, and Freeway 2.
I can see all those references in the movie,
and I know you love Doom Generation. I love all movies of all those.
Time. Yeah, Doom Generation is one of my favorite. Yes. That was my high school movie right there.
Yes, and Freeway 2 is just absolutely phenomenal.
I love Freeway. I like both of them. I like the first one. Yeah, first one's great. Reese Witherspoon.
That was my combination. I felt like that it had elements of all of them, and again, it's what I thought X was going to be, because I expected more out of Ty West is what it was.
No,
it wasn't that it was a bad movie. I just have such high expectations for Ty West that X just kind of fell below it, Mm-hmm. But we'll talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. But yeah, Candyland, it's on Tubi. I highly recommend everybody to watch it because it's just so
it was good. It was good. It was good. I will say I forget the actress' name. She was in It Follows. She's great in it. Josh Brolin's daughter. She's good in it. Did you know that? That was Josh Brolin's daughter?
Yes.
She's great in it. The other, I'm not familiar with anything else. She's blonde. She's in it. I thought she was
Eden
great.
Brolin, Olivia Lucardi. Was in It Follows.
The performances are great. I'll say that without spoiling anything else. But everyone, there's not like a cringy, eye roll, boring kind of like
it
they
has
seem
its moments where you're just kind of like, okay.
It's not a boring movie either. Like it's not like the dialogue is snappy, which I liked, and you see the story unravel, which I enjoyed. Like you said, I feel like we're gonna spoil it, so I don't want to.
No, yeah. Well, another thing about it is
tight lip right now.
Yeah, no, about the writing itself.
Yeah,
the women together, you genuinely believe that they're friends.
Yeah,
their relation, yes, it's very authentic. Their relationship, they created a bunch of women in a movie without them. Then they're all hookers, but they're not stereotypes. They all have fully fleshed out backstories, and they're human beings.
Yeah, even I think the guy from X, that actor, he's great too. Like I don't want to say, his character, explaining the existence for him at this hooker hotel Candyland place. I dug that. I dug his like character development throughout. You know what he's doing with I don't know what another word for a prostitute is, but nonetheless,
hooker
prostitute. What he's doing with his, I guess, tricks, the guys and gals. It's interesting with the development of his character. It was good, dude. It was very good. I did enjoy it. I have to watch it again. It's one of the movies I have to watch a second time to, I think, fully take in.
I'm going to watch it a second time because Lynn hasn't seen it yet, so I got to put it on for her at some point too.
It was good. It was very good. Well made, and I could see why you chose. This looks like this is the type of movie I know you would like to make that's not not 100%. Supernatural. A non-supernatural. If you directed a film that was no supernatural elements, because for the most part, stuff we've worked on together and stuff you've done with me not even involved has been, for the most part, supernatural. Yes. So if you made a non-supernatural film, Candyland would be the type of movie in that realm. Very good movie. I like that you picked something very deep cut. A deep cut best of 2023. That was a deep cut. I don't think anyone takes a Tubi movie serious. No. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people haven't seen it because it's on Tubi, and Tubi's notorious for having a lot of crap on it and a lot of old movies that are classics. So the crap gets kind of mixed in with the good stuff.
Devil Comes at Night was on Tubi as well.
Yeah,
I've been going through a lot of Tubi films. They have a lot of really good stuff. You really got to look. But
between our two top 5 films of 2023, I'd say Candyland and Cobweb. Both of those movies, if you have not seen them, give them a watch. I'd say. Because if you missed those last year, check them out. I think, for people that listen to Haunted Hangover that are big Halloween fans and horror fans, obviously, watch Cobweb because it's the best of both worlds, and more in the realm of exploitation horror. Candyland kind of curbs that appetite, I guess, if you dig that type of stuff.